Hi, everyone. Excuse me. It's Betty from Awakened Possibilities. I got Sandy, and I'm so excited. We've actually got a couple people on already. Hopefully, we'll have more join us as we go along. Feel free to add questions and comments, and we can field those as we go. Sandy, we got an exciting topic today. We're going to be talking about self-esteem, sovereignty, and emotional intelligence.
Definitely. All things that are so needed right now, and to be in touch with them and know what it feels like when you are in that zone of feeling really good. And, so many people are saying right now they're getting attacked by family members, dark forces. So many things are happening that are causing people to doubt themselves. And it's like, okay, so the more they try to bring us down, the higher we go.
Yes. And, I've had that experience yesterday.
You did, right? And a lot of people are having it.
I had such a rough day, everyone. And I called Sandy. I'm like, I need a friend. But I woke up today. Well, today was a tough first thing in the morning, but I am supercharged now. I just let all of it go, pushed all of the negativity out, as well as anything that they were trying to attack me with.
Yes. And remember last week I was feeling kind of down. Some things had come and I knew I could change my mood. You just gave another example that you know how to do it as well, and how important it is that we command our emotions within reason.
Yeah.
But we can change our mood. We can change the outcome of how things turn out.
Yes. Right? Yeah. And not to the point of, because I think this is important, because a lot of people just want to shut their emotions down. Not to the point of shutting them down.
No.
Acknowledge them, understand them, and then let them go.
So can I ask what, I was thinking about the order we're going to speak in today. I think I would like, you tell me what you think. I would like to talk about sovereignty first.
Okay.
Then I want to talk about self-esteem, and then I want to talk about emotional intelligence. And I put it in that order because I want us to show what sovereignty is and the goal we're aiming for.
Sounds good to me.
Because sovereignty is just a word. What does it mean? It means different things to different people.
Yes.
So,
but it is a thing.
Oh, it is. But people, but love's a thing. And unless you break it down to the different types of love, it just gets thrown into a big pot of, it can mean anything to anybody. And that's part of the problem with the English language, right? It's so duplicitous and it's missing words. So what exactly do these things mean, right? But did you want to start talking about sovereignty? Do you have anything you want to add in? Well, or do you want me to go in? Okay, I'm going to go in what I think sovereignty is.
Sovereignty is I think is a big deal right now, with what we're seeing in the world, and it's about owning ourselves. And this, I'm going to be honest, last night, I think it was, I was actually on, I was prowling Twitter because I got suspended. And so I was actually just checking, because Blue Apple has said, oh, all of Canadian politics are on Twitter. Like, that's where they make all their announcements. I'm like, I haven't been on there, so let's start trolling some people. Well, guess what? There is a mayor here in Ontario that wants to make a mask mandate, not a mandate, but actual law. They're actually going to be putting it on the House floor in April.
So you said this is a mayor who's doing this? So you know what, you can tell who wants to excel in the cabal, in the deep state, in the demonic satanic world, because they're willing to screw people over to get what they want. So you already know this person's a prick, male or female, doesn't matter who they are, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about sovereignty. I want to talk about sovereignty.
I'm going to be honest, that's taking away our sovereignty. They're actually really trying, and that's, I think, what people need to understand is our right to breathe air, indoors or outdoors, is our sovereign right. This is
so here we go with just trying to demand what our rights are. We don't ask these asshats for our right. We stand in our true power. That's when we can command our higher consciousness and make things happen with our minds.
Yes. Actually, you know what? The kicker is that's what I was working on today on that exact thing. As I was like, that came to me on purpose, because I would not have gone to that person's Twitter account normally. Yeah. Even when I was on Twitter, I wasn't following them.
So people don't know how to be rude on Twitter. So some guy was, I made a comment about cannibalism. What's her name? Laura Lynn Tyler, whoever she is. They were talking about cannibalism, and it was the Indians who did it. And if you go back to the work of Meredith Quinn, even in the 50s and 60s. He was a lawyer. He was Indian, but he was a lawyer, and he did a lot of work on the treaties. And he said it was the white people who brought cannibalism to the North America. I made a comment. This person jumps on me and says, "Oh, prove cannibalism is still alive today." And it was a friend of Maxime Bernier's. And I'm like, I don't have to prove a thing to you. Oh, then it's not true. Just because I'm not proving anything to you and I'm not doing your freaking work for you, it doesn't mean it's not true. I don't care if you get it or not. I'm not playing your game. And I said, Maxime Bernier, he was in Haiti, wasn't he? And the guy doesn't comment for a couple hours and comes back and goes, check the website. The dates are on it when he was there. It was before the Clintons. Oh, you know about the Clintons, do you? So this person's just trying to pretend cannibalism doesn't exist. You're trolling me, dude. I didn't come looking for you. And then he goes, check the dates. You're wrong. You're playing games. I think it was a female, actually. And I said, really? And I said, well, let's talk about the sex trafficking claims, allegations against Maxime Bernier in Quebec. Are those real too or not real too? And the person fell off. And it's like, you don't put your name beside Maxime Bernier. You're supporting him if you can't back what you're talking about. And just because this asshat asked me for proof, I don't owe you a damn thing. I don't care if you get it or not. If I gave my proof to them over the internet, then they can go and scrap that piece of documentation.
Yep.
But I'm like, buddy, I'm not going anywhere. You want to keep playing this game with me, you keep playing it. And sometimes when you stand in your sovereignty, they back off. So I want to talk about sovereignty in a positive way, not in the negative way. So for this mayor to say, I want to breathe. Have you ever molested kids, buddy? Like you changed the topic. You don't put up with this shit, right? So let's talk about sovereignty in a positive. What is sovereignty? It's the ability to develop a majestic sense of victory. We are winning. We've got this. We are creator beings. We're stepping in our power. This is what sovereignty feels like. But you develop it without letting the cat out of the bag. I don't tell everybody all my tricks. And here's one thing for women. You never let a man know all of the things you know. You keep them wondering. You keep them guessing. This is part of the beauty and the majesty of the feminine energy. We've got a secret. We're not telling you what it is, but you know I've got it.
I love it.
Right? Yep. So, and what this is about is wanting people to get some of this for themselves. And I'm going to use an example. I was at a trade show a few years ago, and this woman, I know her socially. She walks up to my table and goes, I want what you've got. And I said, you can't have it. She goes, no, seriously, I want what you've got. I want your confidence. I said, you can't have it. You got to get your own. She goes, I want your confidence. And I said, I can show you how to get your own, but you're not getting mine. That's mine. And there was a woman with me, a friend of mine sitting behind the table, and she also knows this woman. She said, you got to do it for yourself.
Yep.
Because my friend has all the confidence in the world. She stands in her sovereignty. So when we're together, we can actually share. It's like you and I stand in our sovereignty. We can share all kinds of neat things because we don't have to worry about the power struggles and the games and the manipulations, anything like that, right? So we stand in this. You do not engage with other people's nonsense. So like I said, with this Maxime Bernier friend, to pretend cannibalism doesn't exist and you're attached to a politician is probably pretty stupid, if you ask me. But that was their choice to do that, right? So look at the beauty of the light. Develop a majestic sense of victory, because this is what belongs to all of us. We've got this, folks. When you know it and you can feel it in your body with confidence, this is standing in your sovereign right. People aren't going to come up energetically and try to push you around or manipulate you when they know they can't get past you. When I first started doing energy work, I would get the odd sociopath and narcissist come in and want to work with me, but they knew in the first session, they're not getting past me. They didn't come back for more sessions. There was no point.
Yep.
You can spend your money and waste my time, but I'm going to jack your fee up. So when we stand in the sovereignty, the politicians will fall because they cannot touch us energetically and emotionally. And we're going to go in and talk about the emotional side of this. We have the right to take our sovereignty back, but we don't display it in such a way that says, like, oh, I'm better than you. No, none of that. And you and I both know that, but I'm just trying to give an example to whoever's watching, whether now or later, that when you know who you are, you don't have to pretend that you're better than somebody else. Your ego doesn't come into this.
No, you're absolutely right, because you no longer feel that competition, because it is all competition. That's what they've inbred into us, that if I'm here, there has to be somebody below me and somebody above me, and I'm constantly trying to push that ceiling up so I can get higher in the pecking order. No. We all, if we're standing in our truth, we're here. We're good.
We're all valuable and we're all different.
Our work is really similar. And I don't feel like us talking and putting it out there, you know what? This is fantastic. There needs to be more of us coming together. All of us. It needs to be community, because then we lift all of us, right?
Totally. And it's interesting because more people are coming to me now because they want to know what I do, how I do it. And the only way, it doesn't matter if I'm clearing out traumatic situations in the past or current, people are having trouble in current relationships. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, because sometimes you'll go and you'll be showing people how to stand in their sovereignty and how to get their higher abilities back. And something comes up, then we flip and we go in and we clear it. And then we go back to the teaching.
Yep.
So we're very mutable this way. Right. So because more people are saying, how do I do what you do? Well, you can't go in and start working in other people's energy fields without knowing how to protect yourself, because if you do, you're just going to bring their crap into you. So there's got to be a way to do that. Right.
Yes. Especially if you're empathic, which I know we had a discussion yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way when I first started the energy work. Yes. And and now I know how to guard myself and them, because it's before any session, I protect us both. Because we both need to be protected while it's actually a bit of a vulnerable space.
It is. Oh, exactly. And
it's a vulnerable space when you're healing and removing energy from people. It's a very vulnerable space. You want to make sure nothing else can go in there that's negative. You're not swapping.
You and I did an amazing thing yesterday when we helped pull that knife out of your back.
Yeah.
Because you are so easy to work with, because you know energy. So you knew to push and I knew to pull. And I knew to get it out and take it to another dimension, time, space dimension. And you healed yourself. I didn't heal you. Yeah. But we worked together. What was it? 2 minutes? And it's like done. And then on to the next topic.
Yeah. And you said I changed. Like as soon as it was gone, like even though the way I looked changed.
Your face changed. You were so stressed from what had happened earlier. And I'm thinking, Betty's not looking like herself. No judgment. You just observation. And as soon as it was gone, it's like, she's back.
Yeah. Because I had to get the knife on my back.
And I just knew, so you knew that she put a secondary cord in your body. So dark people are manipulative to the point they can attack you more than one way. So you feel the one pain, but you might not feel it somewhere else, right?
Sorry, let me just find that.
Okay, so I want to finish up with, when we stand in our sovereignty and we stand from a position of we are winning, we know our power, we know how great we are, magnificent we are, we glorify the creator within us. So we are all God, we are creator energy. So this is what brings us out in each and every one of us, is knowing how to stand in our power. And it doesn't matter where anyone is on this journey of learning about themselves. If you're taking a step, whether you're clearing something, you're changing your energy. Whether you're elevating and learning something, you're changing your energy. So understand how important this is. So when we can develop our majestic sense of victory.
I actually want to jump in there, because as you change your energy, and this is what I have found, and I think as people work on themselves and elevate themselves, the thing to be very cognizant of, it's not a smooth journey. And people, as they actually, because even if they don't know why, but they can feel that you're rising in your vibration, that's when they come to attack to bring you back down.
Yes, either physical or non-physical energies. It doesn't matter if it's somebody you know. If your family members think maybe you're going to outgrow them, they might try to sabotage you. I want to talk more about that when we go into the emotional intelligence. They might want to gossip about you behind your back. And one of the biggest, one of the lamest, most manipulative, petty things someone can do is turn around and say something to their children about their Aunt Sandy, and then they start the next generation looking down upon you. So then that generation has kids, and they're going to be taught the same bullshit stories, because that sibling is so insecure that they have to put you down to elevate their self-worth. And when you know this game, honest to God, you just sit here and you're like, really? Pass the potatoes, please. Like you just can't wait to get out of that event. This is how boring these people are, right? So when people want to pull you down so that they elevate themselves, okay, how does that feel for you now? Oh, they don't mind doing it, but when you point it out that they're doing it, that's when they get mad and try to knock you down again. They don't mind being a SOB, but when you tell them what they're doing is wrong, then they're really going to screw you. That's when you leave that relationship totally, right? So I want to just finish with this. So when we talk about glorifying the creator within, that's when we develop our sense of the sense of victory, the true sense of sovereignty. And we can pull out of the universe the power we need to attain the victory, because that's when we connect and we're manifesting from a higher sense of consciousness, like I'm feeling good, we're already winning, instead of that fear component that often, if we're feeling a little bit of fear, that's what.
Oh, you froze a little bit there, Sandy. Sandy, you're frozen.
You both are. Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, so I've got a 6-sided star here on the bottom, if you can see that.
Yes, I can.
So that's the masculine and the feminine energy, the Star of David. In the middle is the creator, I am. So it says God creator is the center of the masculine and the feminine within. And that's why they don't want us understanding there's only two sexes. It's the male and female energy that we blend and become one with from our best self, our highest self. That's when we stand in our true power. The games, a lot of the manipulations we're seeing and a lot of the abuses are all just head games. Screwing with people's minds, programming their minds, making them doubt themselves, try to dupe them, get them to demean themselves, all of these little head games. That's what it all is lack of emotional intelligence, that they want to keep everybody stupid and playing very immature games. Yeah, instead of saying, no, let's all rise.
And I think this is what shocks me. I'm going to be honest, is that they've been playing this, it's an outright game for the last year. And how many people are still buying it is like, it blows my mind to go from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to 12 months.
But everybody has a different motive. So I know people who don't want to go to the office. They say there's too many manipulations and gossiping, that maybe the office has a lot of women in it. They don't want to go to work, so they're okay with COVID. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I would rather work from home. I really don't want to work at the office. But to say, oh, I want COVID to keep going because then I can stay at home, that masks cowardice, because there's people who need to get back to work so they can feed their families.
People are losing their homes. People are losing their everything. This is not okay.
Someone came to my door this morning, knocked on my door, and I thought, okay, am I going to answer it? So I went and I looked, and I could just see the side of this person's head, and I opened the door, and it was a real estate agent. He goes, oh, I was just going to put this in. Do you know we just sold a house over here? I said, the real estate market is going to fall. It's way overpriced. Like, nothing is logical. Well, we are experiencing a small shift right now. I go, buddy, it's coming down. There's no way these houses are worth what they say they're worth. Well, and he's, trying to, do you know anybody who's looking? Oh, wait a minute. You knock on my door and I'm going to give you leads so you can go and make 40 grand. Like, where do you get off? I didn't say that to him. I said, the whole markets are coming down. I said, I worked in finance for 20 years. It's all bullshit. Well, you have a nice day. You too. I thought maybe that'll teach people, don't knock on my door. Like, knock on my door and ask for leads so that you can make 40 grand.
Yeah.
Come on. You know what I mean? But the arrogance. Just to assume you can come in and just, oh, look, we sold this house. Congratulations.
Yeah, and what do to do about it?
Right. They want more money. They want your leads. And it's like, no. Anyway, so I'm just giving an example of how people are just on rote answers and just are using the same old, they're just doing the same old thing and not really thinking about what is going on around them.
And that's part of sovereignty too, though, is being aware. I did a video the other day, and it's really about, and I said this to you when we talked about it, it's about mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and that actually you have to work on all of those things. And because when you are mentally, physically, and spiritually strong, that's when you own yourself. Because this is what it's about. Sovereignty is about owning yourself.
When you look at mental health, what does the term mental health encompass? It's everything and nothing. I look at the term mental health. What does it mean? Anxiety is a feeling you sense in your body more so than a thought in your mind. Why is that called mental health?
Well, Depression. I don't mean it in the same way as the psychiatric community, and you know that. It's more about being in control of your mind and not letting it be manipulated by others. Yeah. Right? All of these other things are created.
So we need a new language. You and I are going to create new language, Betty. I'm just sensing that right now.
It's all I have is mental health, but I'm not talking about depression and bipolar or schizophrenia and all that. I'm talking about actually owning your
mental capacities
and your mental capacity, owning what you believe, owning and understanding yourself to the point where other people can't manipulate you like they are now.
Yes. But isn't that funny? We used the word sovereignty before, and different people have different meanings for it. And this is exactly what we're saying about the term mental health. What does it mean? Yeah. Do you know what so it's different things. So we need, whether we call it mental conditioning, work on your mental conditioning, or change the language around it somewhat so that when people say, well, what does mental conditioning mean? It means your higher self controls your thoughts. It means you're centered and aligned internally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, hopefully physically, depending if there's an injury or a problem there, but being able to know you can change your mind, you can change your mood, you can change your thought, you can be open to new information coming in without buying in. And the best examples I can think of that is even at the rally on Saturday, someone was carrying a sign about child sex trafficking is the real virus. And a woman had asked her questions, and she goes, "You need to go talk to her." And she came over and started speaking with me. And I pulled out my one piece of paper that shows the Fibonacci sequence around the Great Lakes and where pedophile alley is. Well, some guys came right up to me and listened. Some just turned and they put their ear in, and I knew they didn't want to engage in the conversation, but they wanted to hear what was being said. That's okay. You don't have to engage. You don't have, because somebody tells you something doesn't mean you have to jump in with both feet and say, "Tell me." It's like, no, I'm going to listen to what you say. You stay there. I'm fine here. I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And know that you have the right not to get too close to that information, or I've had enough now. I'm going to go. Do you know what I mean? That's what I consider the mental, being able to command yourself, mental conditioning, that you command what goes on around you.
Yes.
So,
but you're not one of those people that does this. And that video I posted on Telegram today with Mark, and that's one of the things they talked about when I was watching it last night, is how many people, when it comes to especially trafficking of children, they don't want to hear it. It's like, la, 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 la.
And it's not because they're so sensitive and so loving. It's because they know that, well, some people are hurt. There's less competition. Because as you said earlier, everybody's climbing, striving to get the best for them, the most money, the biggest house, or whatever, right?
And you would have to do something. If you actually acknowledge that it happens, then you automatically want, I mean, if you're not a narcissist or a pedophile yourself, you want to figure out, how do I stop this? Because you don't hurt the most vulnerable.
I can't remember. You said there was a passage in the Bible that says anyone who makes the little one stumble, you might as well have a millstone around your neck or something like that.
Something like that, but yes.
So when you talk about narcissism, look at the enablers, look at the shame-based people, look at the bystanders who get paid money knowing this is going on but don't want to speak up. So we kind of keep coming back to these things. So that is not necessarily a person who's using their mental capacity or their mental capabilities. They're actually shutting off emotionally so that they can pretend they don't see it because they're self-centered. That's different. Taking self-care and self-centered are two different things.
Yes, absolutely. Right. And that's the differentiation, I think, that people don't understand. Or I think sometimes it's hard to understand, because you're right, we don't have proper language to really articulate what it means to be sovereign. Because when you actually just look at it as a basic, it sounds very self-centered and narcissistic. But but it's not, because it's when you have your power, then you can actually help lift somebody up there too. You can.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant there. Sorry, I misunderstood that.
No. And it goes to, on the plane, put your mask on first before because you can't help anybody until you're okay first. Right?
You know what? You can help people, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, it's easier.
So how did you learn, Betty? It's easier, yes. How did you learn? And I'm going to just tell you what I think how you learn right now is baptism by fire, the same way I did. It is not easy. And it would be nice to be able to help people figure this out for themselves, and also show them where some of the black holes and the potholes are, so you don't fall into one.
Yes. But you know what? That's unfortunately how most people learn, is by mistake, right? Or having to walk through that fire. And
not everybody can do that, though. And I'll give an example of the one time I was working on a woman, I think in Finland, and I went to bed. We were going to meet the next morning on Zoom, and I went to bed the night before, and this dark energy jumped on me and tried to suffocate me on another dimension. And I couldn't get this thing off, and I couldn't breathe. And finally, all I could get out, I tried to tell it to get out, and my mouth wouldn't work. Nothing would work. Finally, I just went, and it dissolved. But if I didn't know how to fight that thing, that would have killed me. I would have died in my sleep. Maybe I'm wrong. So we have to know what we're doing.
Yes, you don't invite this shit in.
I didn't invite it in.
No, I know you didn't. But the door got open because of that.
It came in because I was trying to help her, and it didn't want me helping her.
Yep.
So it flew halfway around the world to take me on. And I'm like, wow. So that's why you don't be afraid of them. But if you're going to be afraid of every little thing, don't get into helping people clear energy. No. You have to be fearless in your own ability to know the truth, find the truth, and understand that you're the most important person in your space, yep. Whether you call that your own bubble or what you call it, right?
And as you change, because we do change, I'm not the same person I was years ago, 10 years ago, God, not 20 years ago for sure. And not everybody is going to like it.
No.
And being okay with that energy. There's a lot we have to take in and realize as you go through this that you're going to lose people. You're going to, things are going to evolve and change. You're going to find your tribe. It's not like I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life.
We're not alone. We're just finding ourselves now.
To find you. Thanks
you
to
know
Karen.
what? When you're connected to the divine, though, when you're connected to that creator source energy, you're never alone. And when you have that divine spark inside of you, no matter, even if you're hurting, you're never alone.
Yep.
And it's not the same as not wanting people physically around you. Of course, we need that contact. We need the contact of hugs and intimacy with the right person. We need all of that, but that's not your go-to first. That's once you align and have the divine in you, then you're in a better place, a higher jumping off point to have people in your life. Because it's like you and I can talk, but there's no competition. There's no insecurity. No. You share things, I share things. And we talked yesterday, we should get together and just look at all the stuff we got and see what we can do to show each other what we do, just so that we can expand our abilities.
Yeah.
And not out of competition, right? We both do the same stuff in a lot of ways, but we do it different ways. And it's just great. Neither one is wrong. So this is how we collaborate, I think, going forward. Does anyone have any questions? Is there people on right now?
Yeah, there's a few people on. Does anybody have any questions? There haven't been any comments up yet. So
okay.
But feel free to jump in, anybody, if you have a question. That's what we're here for. Jesus, we have lots of questions. Lots of back and forth between us. I know that. And unfortunately, like I said, language it's so limited.
Yes. So let's create new language for the work we're doing, for the consciousness revolution that's coming in. And as we wake up our higher senses and know, like there's days you just know that you're on, and you just know that you've got the energies. You can connect with anybody around the world mentally, but we don't practice it in the physical world. Like very few people are able to call each other up and say, okay, tell me 3 things you want me to work on. And then I say, okay, I'm going to give you 3 things I want you to work on. 45 minutes later, you call back and say, okay, this thing you've got, the pain in your side is because of this. And you're not even in the same room. Like and I've only met 2 other people that I can do that with.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what? Funny thing is I've actually always found that people who aren't in the same room, it's more powerful. There's less distraction. I think when I work on them, I can actually tune in better. When
sometimes it's easier on the phone or in Zoom, but it depends what you're trying to show them. Some things you have to feel it.
Yeah,
they have to feel it.
To reach out and go, hey, we got to talk about this. I don't know what this is, but and then you have a conversation. Oh, okay, let's get rid of this. All right.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about now? Do you want to talk about self-esteem?
Do you think we've finished the sovereignty? I think so. I think we.
Yeah, it's already 11:30. So we probably picked like 1 too many topics for today, but that's okay. But let's talk about self-esteem. What is self-esteem? The ability to motivate yourself from within, based on your own values, your own morality, based on your goals, what you want to achieve, who you want to be in the world.
And I believe also understanding your value, because we have to know our value.
So we have to know our value as part of that, for sure. Absolutely.
Because self-esteem, if you don't know your value and how actually ridiculously special we are, we are. I'm sorry. We're all like fucking amazing. There is no other word for it. We are fucking amazing. And if you're on this journey, it just changes. And I'm going to say, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm fucking amazing, but I think so are you. And so is anybody else.
Ego in there.
It's not about ego. I'm not better than somebody, but you know what? If you're not feeling like you're fucking amazing, then hey, let's figure out how we can get you there. Because this feels really good and I want everybody to feel it.
Yes.
Can we imagine
this is amazing
from yesterday and how I felt yesterday?
Yes.
It's like this morning, I did a few things. Like I said, I woke up and was definitely attacked through the night. I dealt with it and it was like, wow, this energy.
Right. And this is when you're talking about people, if you're not thinking that you're amazing, why? And when I work with people, what I always share with them is you didn't get to the point where you doubt yourself or you don't like yourself by yourself. Somebody did this to you. The macro affects the micro. Our surroundings affect us as much as we affect the micro or the macro. So when we understand all that, you understand you didn't get to feeling crappy about yourself or doubting yourself or not thinking you're good enough or worthy enough on your own.
Right.
So we help you get to the point that you get through that. So once you're up again, you can fly and off you go.
Yeah. Jay Ross actually does have a question for us. He wants to know the ways we use to protect ourselves.
Okay. So it's going to be too much to go into in any great depth. But what you do etherically, you can create a shield around yourself. You can create a pyramid around yourself. Because once you start to use your consciousness energy, you end up, everything happens in the etheric before it happens and lands in the physical form on the planet. So when you put up that sense of protection around yourself, some people use prayers. Now I lay me down to sleep.
Yeah.
So there's different things you can do. So you can use selenite. This is not the right shape to use, but you can also put an energy field around you by using crystals or using some sort of a divination tool. But usually it's done with your consciousness. When you protect yourself physically, some people use sage, or they'll use like a bay leaf, or they'll use some sort of a smudge so that they can get the dark energies to leave. Another way to protect yourself, believe it or not, is clean your house. Because if you have a lot of clutter, dark energies tend to attach to the clutter or the dirt. If you have a lot of dust bunnies, they can attach to that, and then they can jump on you wherever you are. So there's all kinds of things you can do to clear. But the idea is once you know how to do it, that you invoke that.
And for Jay Ross, if the easiest thing, depending on what your practice is. So if you pray, then ask the divine for protection, and you do it daily. I do it every single day. If you meditate, then in your meditation, it doesn't have to be a long meditation. You could do a 5-minute meditation. It's just about connecting to yourself and being still, and then picturing exactly what you said. But in just a simple way to put it is, then you picture, something, whatever it is it like a sphere around you? Is it a ball of light? Is it the pyramid? Whatever works for you, and that you can picture in your mind's eye that is around you to protect you and protect your energy. But one of the cool things is, can
you say something? Some people can see it, and some people just know it's there. So not everybody sees it, but it's okay. If your intention is to put it up, you will put it up over time. You'll sense when it's there.
And you definitely, I love this. That same video I mentioned last time we were together live, Joanne on Mark Atwood's show. The one thing she said was, you can put protection. That's why I liked you saying the sage and stuff first, is sometimes we don't release. So you're protecting also all that negative inside of you or is in your sphere that's already attached. First, we need to cleanse and release that as much as possible. And then you can put.
Yeah. So Jay Ross, it's not as easy as just putting protection on you. It's important that you understand how the energies work. And I think it was you and I talking about this, because if people build a cylinder around them, they trap the dark energies in that bubble with them, because that will be the energy. If they're already on you, that's the energy that they can vibrate at as they siphon your energy. So when I build my cylinder around people, I build it up, and it's just like a Dyson vacuum cleaner. I put all the energy spinning out of the body in on the inside of the outer cylinder. And as we get up to the top, I've transmuted out into another time, space, and dimension. I create black holes and send it out. And then I put the cap on the cylinder and then connect to source energy. So it's more involved. We should almost do videos on some of our techniques too, right?
But those are simple ways to just, clear as much as you can, if it's through sage or just checking in with yourself. I check in every day. It's like, okay, is everything okay? Do I have anything blocked? But clear all that out and then put up my shield.
There you go. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So let's talk about, when we talk about self-esteem, I want to talk about other esteem. So I wrote my book. I'm just going to show it up again, Ending Global Loneliness, Finding Purpose, Love, and Dynamic Relationships, because I want to talk about other esteem. And this is what is wrong in our 3D society. So because people esteem themselves from without. So some of the ways we esteem ourselves is through our looks. And if you're good looking, you were blessed with good looks, congratulations. But it's not as if you gave it to yourself. You just got lucky. So get over yourself. Like that's one of them. Through their possessions, by what their partner or friends do for a living or have achieved. Oh, my son, daughter, husband, wife does blah, da, 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 da. So then they're esteeming themselves by, it's almost like name dropping, by what they themselves have achieved, by where they live, by their position in life, by what their children accomplish in sports or school, by any degrees, titles, or achievements, or any combination of the above. So when we start to understand, basically we have a very shallow society. We're trained to be shallow, trained to value things that are just possessions or have a material value, but they don't value, are you decent? Are you kind? Are you loving? Are you caring? Do you love yourself enough that you're going to go and achieve great things in your life? Do you love others that you want the best for all of humanity without being codependent and dictating what that is? That's how we're supposed to esteem ourselves from within. Are you a decent person? Do you know when your rights stop and start and someone else's start and stop? And I gave that example of the fellow on Twitter, whoever that was, trolling me about the cannibalism.
Right.
Sorry, you're in my space. You're playing by my rules, dude. I didn't go chasing you. You came looking for me, right? Yeah. So I understand where my rights start and stop. And I understand the game of trying to diminish what I was saying. And so don't take anybody's shit. That's also self-esteem. Don't take anybody's crap.
Yeah. And don't allow people. I love that, because the one way a lot of people attack is to try to diminish you because of the way this hierarchical society that we live in. And so if you are climbing, the thing that they're going to want to do is bring you back down a few notches, right?
And that is so prevalent in our society. Don't be too big for your britches, young lady, or whatever bullshit was told to us. So I'm going to talk about external causes of low self-esteem. This is just, again, I'm just going to say a few of these. People trying to convince you that their lies are the truth. That's that person on Twitter yesterday. So this is what causes low self-esteem and self-doubt. People trying to convince you that they know better than you what course of action is best for you to take over offering their insight and letting you make your own decisions. So when you ask somebody's opinion, they expect you to do what they want you to do. That's not how this works. You ask for someone's opinion, but ultimately you make your own decision because you are the sovereign who makes the decisions for yourself, and that builds confidence. People trying to convince you their agenda should be your agenda. And you were talking about the masks. Oh, everybody's got COVID. You got a mask up, 2 masks, 3 masks, whatever it is. Oh, we're going to try to convince us that their agenda is our agenda. No, it's not. It's your agenda, and we can see through it. But these are all things that create low self-esteem in others. Oh, Fauci must know best because he's been doing it for 40 years. He's got to be the expert.
Well, you know what? When I used to teach in my last job, it's funny because I used to say, I let the people know, it's like, you know, when you go out into the hospitals, because I was doing clinical research, when you go to the hospitals and you have these doctors and nurses, and they're gonna push back when you tell them how to do things correctly. And they say, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. And it's like, well, guess what? If you've been doing it wrong for 20 years, doesn't make it right. And this is what you're supposed to be doing. So I don't care how long somebody's been doing it. If you've been doing it wrong, or you've been coming from the wrong place, it's still wrong.
And that's the arrogance of the other esteem. My degree or my diploma, I'm a nurse. I know more than you. No, you may and you may not. So it doesn't. So I'm going to hear what you have to say and decide for myself as I maintain my sovereignty and make the decisions that are best for me.
Yeah, and I was trying to actually create in these
Good for you.
Coming into something new, and they're going to be challenged by these people who've been doing it for so long, and you're new to this. And it's like, yeah, just because they did it, they're doing it wrong for 20, 30, 40 years, doesn't make it right.
This is what we're up against with the changes that are coming. This is the arrogance and the ego and the entitlement of other people assuming they've got more knowledge than you. And it's not the truth, because we've been given so much wrong information, right? Yeah. I'm just going to read a few more of these.
People to realize that just because something has been done this way for so long does not mean it's the right way. No. And that we actually have the ability to change it and to walk away from that mindset. I don't want to be in that mindset. I actually hope that in, next year, I'm going to be even more different than I am today. And
because you want to keep growing,
I want to keep growing. I want to keep growing. I don't honesty the same. And this is one of the things actually in society, what we do a lot is it completely left me. It completely left me.
Okay.
I'm talking about it because I saw Jay and I'm like, I'm hoping Jay Ross, I hope that helped you with the protection. I hope it helps you.
So you're not going to do a full session on somebody here. Like, that's not what this is about. So we can give people information, but it doesn't mean you run with that alone. Then you start looking up way to protect your energy etherically. Right. Yeah. But understand how all the dark energies work too. So don't just jump in and start doing energy stuff first. Learn about what you need to know about your chakras, your meridians, your endocrine system. Understand how the etheric world works and all the different dimensions before you start. Get a sense of what you're looking at before you jump in and start doing any one thing.
Yeah. Well, right. If it's just protection, clear out any junk that you can find and wrap yourself up as you learn.
That's too general because a lot of people don't understand what that means. So again, I'm talking about how people can try to convince you that they're smarter than you, that their agenda is better than your agenda, not to trust yourself. That's what keeps the nonsense alive in our society. People don't want you to trust yourself. They want you to trust them because they have control issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really important that we understand how other people can knock you down, getting you to doubt yourself. And when we understand that, then we have the right to say, goes to boundaries. We have the right to say, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to give that some thought. So you going in and challenging in the pharmaceutical industry, you going in and challenging hospitals, depending on what you're challenging on, you could very easily lose your job for that. That's how screwed up our society is. I'm not saying in your exact position.
I was following regulations and they weren't. So it was really easy to just say, yeah, no, that's not how it goes. And I can give you the documentation why it's not. But
people are losing their jobs. Look at the doctors standing up about the vaccine. So I'm not saying you in particular, but people are losing their jobs for doing what they think is the right thing and standing up against a system that wants to destroy us in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, whether it's the water, the air, whatever, right? So it's just really important that we understand that speaking up does have its risks as well.
Absolutely.
But it's okay if enough of us are doing this who aren't necessarily connected to anything other than wanting to be our best selves, that we stand stronger together, right?
Well, like you said, that the woman I spoke to on the weekend, she actually asked me, it's like, did you lose people? And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I think that was her biggest concern. Is like, when you stand up for yourself and you do what you know is right for you, you're going to lose some people. Yep, I did, but I gained people too, and it's part of
you made space for more.
I made space for more and better.
Yeah.
Things that actually are helping me instead of hindering me. So you got rid of.
You're going at a higher vibration. So when you lose people, what guarantees are there? What guarantees are there in life that you're gonna never lose anybody? Whether it's through an accident, a death, a sickness, a parting of ways, there's no guarantee you're never going to lose people. It's just now that there's such an awakening happening and a bifurcation and people are splitting apart. Some people are going forward and saying, I am so excited about the future. Some people are so fearful. They're staying in the past. And I'm going to use an example. When I divorced, I had one friend who became very jealous because now all of a sudden I'm her single friend. She had a sister-in-law who was also going through a divorce. It was her husband's sister was going through a divorce. She didn't want me talking to her and sharing things that I knew and giving her ideas to help her get through it because she wanted to be in charge. So she staged an argument with me to end the relationship. And it's like, why didn't you just not call? You know what I mean? But she had to go into the drama to make it, we disagreed about this and we're not talking anymore. It's like, why didn't you just not call? Like I don't need to play this game. So there's a lot of people who are so shallow and so screwed up that they're going to be playing a lot of games. So it doesn't mean that there's an example of somebody else's agenda. She wanted to be the one who looked like she was in charge so she could get all the gossip from her sister-in-law. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. And do the other way, if they're going through a divorce and you're not, try to, because I've had this happen, where a friend was marriage falling apart. And after years, and she knew my relationship with my husband was really good. We were very good together. And there was no problems. And trying to create problems and saying, did you notice this about him? Did you notice that? And trying to like put crinks in that relationship so I'd be in the same boat as her.
Right.
Yeah, no thanks.
And it doesn't matter which way it is. They're both these examples are screwed up, other people's screwed up emotional systems that affect the masses or other people that they interact with. And this is where the emotional responsibility is going to come in, because we're going to be able to see the people who are doing that. And I look at behavior, so it doesn't matter who the friend was who's doing it. When I start seeing games happen, I can just sense the games, and then I look to see who's doing it. I look to see who that person knows, who that person is triangulating and manipulating, because then you realize they're all going to play the game, and maybe they all need to go.
Yep.
So we're going to lose people. There's no doubt about that, right?
Oh, 100%. I've known that we've talked about that a while ago. It's inevitable. We're going to lose a lot of people along the way.
We're going to lose a lot of people. So ego blocks. I think I showed you this sheet I have of ego blocks that I created for people who are not feeling good about themselves. So when I go in and read their energy field, these are the things I check for. Self-doubt. Do they criticize themselves or say negative things to themselves? Because your body's listening to everything you say. You don't speak poorly to yourself. I love you. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find out. If there's a question you have, and it's not that, oh, I'm too stupid, I don't know. You never say things like that to yourself. I love you. I'm going to find out. This is important. I can tell by the way it keeps coming up in my life. I want to find an answer for that. Blaming yourself for things, which could have been somebody else blaming you and you just adapted that. So if they blame you, it must be your fault, and it's not true. We have to clear a false sense of pride, shame, guilt, defensiveness. Some people are very defensive, and some of them are defensive because they've been shit on so bad in their lifetime that became a go-to. Some people are defensive because they're afraid of making a mistake, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. I'm not attached to the outcome, but you go through and see what the reason is. Why are you defensive about this? And they're not usually defensive with me, but they'll tell me something that's happened in their life and how they handle it, and you can see it come up, and they just, oh, it's always, I always had to give up everything when I was a kid, or whatever it was, right? Denial is a big one. Lack of confidence, unprocessed emotions, and you've told me about this one too, Betty. Lack of being worthy. People not feeling good enough or deserving. So you're going to draw into you what you think. If you think you're not deserving, you're going to draw that to you. This is so important right now, because as everything's going on, who knows what's happening in the Suez Canal with that ship, if they're going to find human trafficking is going to come, who knows? But we still need to be in place to bring the changes in and be this shift. So we all have work to do as we contribute in our own capacity to what we want this world to look like. But if you feel you're not worthy, you're wrong. You're going to create on that negative energy. Instead, there's positive things happening, and we want to really go for the affirmations of what is good. I am so excited about what is going on right now in my life and the plans I'm making.
And you know what? And it's harnessing that future, that bright future.
Yes.
That is really important, and we need to reach for it. Yeah. Every single one of us. And I know that day to day, as we're looking at the things that are going on, and if you're looking at the very surface, it's very bleak, right? Well, with Biden and, all of the stuff that's going on.
Okay. I wasn't sure what you meant by the surface.
I mean, surface, like mainstream, the shit they're selling when you're looking at the shit they're selling, because that's all it is. It's dung, period. It looks really bleak. And then I know a lot of people had expectations of being, Trump, the great white savior, coming in and cleaning it all up. But, we have a responsibility too, because if we don't change, we can't move forward. Everything that if the alliance is coming through, then whenever they decide to, not on our timetable, they'll never tell us. We will be right back where we are in no time, because we didn't learn a damn thing.
Totally. If 40% of the population doesn't want to change, they can change whatever they want at the top, if that's what they want to call it, the top. And then the next corrupt politicians will get in and they'll revert back, just the way Biden did with all the executive orders and all the changes. So we have to change this on the ground level. And especially when you look at the human trafficking, because it's coming from the court system, the police system, family and children services, the medical system, the mental health system, the education system. So the whole structure itself on the ground is designed to destroy humanity.
Yeah.
So we have to change and call out those structures. And as we do, as they start to topple, sooner or later, people are going to clue in. You don't send your children to university unless you want them to be an average adult life, have an average adult life. And one thing that had come up for me a few times, normally parents, when you have children, you want your children to learn and to grow and to exceed anything you had in life. That's a healthy role model of a parent. Do you know how many people have told me that their parents spoke to them and treated them poorly as children because they wanted to maintain control, or they wanted that person playing small, or they wanted, one person told me that the mother treated the one son poorly because she wanted to leave the country. So she blamed that child and made that child feel like shit, as if it was his fault for her leaving. And he hasn't dealt with it yet, and he's an adult now. Like, we have to start understanding what crappy parenting looks like as well, and crappy motivation, because if you're doing that with your children, you're doing that with other people as well.
Absolutely.
So there's so much to grow.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have an epidemic, and I've seen it firsthand, of 30-year-olds still living at home, not being able to get on their feet. And especially mothers, it's the mothers that are keeping them down because they lose their jobs if they're, being the nurturer. So it's good to keep them in this little box because
keeps
it makes
them needy, keeps the mother in power.
Keeps her in power, and it's usually the mother. It's never the father.
You are so on the money there, Betty. I'm thinking of a few people I know. One wants her kids partying all the time because if they're out partying, they're not aspiring to be their best, and they won't outgrow her.
Right.
So she wants her kids small at home. Oh, don't worry about working full time. You can stay here rent free, so that the mother is esteemed and she isn't alone. I see this in so many places.
It's epidemic right now.
We need to grow up. Women need to grow up and take responsibility for ourselves. Men need to grow up too. I'm not trying to put this all on the women, but we are women, and we are going to be the ones who stand ourselves up and lead ourselves out of this. And when we do that, we're also going to help some of the men come through this as well, because a lot of men are looking for healing but don't want traditional whatever therapies. So they want to release. I shouldn't say the word healing, but they want to release, right? So we can grow ourselves up and be our best self and stand up and be proud of who we are, but a good pride. And I put pride on this list, a false sense of pride. Mm-hmm. So maybe they feel pride because they negatively esteem themselves or outside esteem. But you notice how the LBGT, who's trying to decriminalize pedophilia, hijacked the word pride for the parades. You're supposed to be proud. Oh, now you're going to be gay and upside down and letting somebody fuck you up the ass. And now you're going to be proud for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a play on words.
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's, but we've done some really terrible things to both men and women, and the education system, we've dropped the ball, and
we were forced because nobody would understand that this agenda to destroy humanity would be so complex and all-encompassing in every aspect, every corner of society. It's there. Nobody would have guessed all the pillars of society are designed to destroy humanity, whether it's the medical system, the healthcare system. You look at the Food and Drug or Health Canada. So now they're saying, I think instead of a third grain, you're supposed to eat a quarter of your meal is supposed to be grains, but they won't say glyphosate is Roundup and it's a carcinogen and will kill you. So what are we paying these people for? What are we paying any of these regulatory bodies for? When it's the same as when you said, I've been doing this for 20 years. Oh, we've been creating healthy diets for 20 years. Most people are so freaking heavy right now. They're carrying 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds more than they should. So how is this diet working out? And you look at fasting. I used to get shamed because I wouldn't eat breakfast. I was just one, I couldn't eat breakfast. 11, 12 o'clock, I could start with lunch. I was fine. And I would get shamed because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And now you find you're supposed to fast. So I was right, but you get shamed into going along with the bullshit of somebody else's. And then I started eating breakfast, and usually I eat breakfast maybe half 3 days a week. I'll eat breakfast, but I never used to do that. And you realize it's not what we're supposed to do. But it's all based on destroying us, the IAs, the intelligent already ones. That's the humans, as you said. Don't you just love us?
Yes, because we, as I mentioned in our last one, I was doing some homework, and one of the things the New Age movement and Luciferianism has together is this: we're all the same. No, we're not. Sorry, we're not. I refuse to be the same as those pedophiles. I'm not the same kind of person. I'm actually human. That is repugnant. That is repugnant to me. And I will not equate myself as the same type of living thing because they're not human. That's not human.
I don't go into the they're not human thing, because if they're in a human body, you command your body, kick them out. Yeah, I've helped people clear demons. If you don't know how to get rid of them, find somebody who can and get them out. You are sovereign. You are in charge of your body. So we are the same genetically in many, many ways, But even though there's more than 8 blood types, but what I like about what you just said there, Betty, you made the distinction between behaviors. You're not the same as the pedophiles. So that could be Joe or Jane Doe. It doesn't matter who it is, but it's their behavior that distinguishes the difference. Their lack of morality, their lack of values, their lack of appreciating others' lives. It's the behaviors that separate us into decency or into SOBs.
Yes. And the other thing that, as I was reading, I was like, wow, Luciferianism and the New Age movement both believe that there's no such thing as evil. There's no such thing as evil. And I'm like, isn't that convenient? Look
at mental health. Hurt people hurt people. It's not what happens. It's not what happens to you. It's how you handle it. What bullshit circular thought process is that?
What you consider evil is a manifestation of your own mind. It's like, that's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Sorry, because I'm not manifesting what I know is going on in the world, and that's pure evil.
You are standing in your sovereignty as you say that. You can see the difference of other people's behaviors. You're not doing it out of judgment. You're saying, no, this is evil. Hurting other people and causing other people the amount of pain that you're causing them, taking their life from them, causing them suffering and fear is evil. So it's the behavior. I love how you just said that. That is standing in your sovereignty. You just gave a perfect example.
Like, enough of this, like, kumbaya bullshit. You know what? You're either standing for not just yourself, but for those victims.
Yes.
And saying enough is enough. Yes, evil exists and I can see it. Right? There is enough evidence. I can see it, and enough is enough. And we all have to stand up and say, enough is enough. Get that fucking mask off. Don't jab me with anything. Enough. This is my body. God, creator, made this. That is what lives inside of me, and you're not going to extinguish it.
Yes.
I will not allow it.
When you say that with love in your heart,
I do. But it's like, but you can just, I actually can even feel like that.
I know.
Energy.
I can feel it in you too.
Expand into the ethers. It's like, you take your stand. This is my stand, and that is my sovereignty. It doesn't just encompass me. I get goosebumps. I did, because it encompasses all of us.
Yes.
It encompasses.
And this is where we are the same if we choose, because we have the same consciousness.
Let me say this one last thing. That's why sovereignty isn't about being self-absorbed, because when I am sovereign and you are sovereign, we create, like, it's almost like a ripple effect across the world.
Totally is. And
we change the outcome, and it's an incredible thing when we can stand together but separate. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Independently interdependent.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And none of this codependency stuff where everybody's worried about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I want the best for me. I want the best for you. And it's our job to want the best for ourselves. It's our job to want to excel in life. And it's our job to want to grow and expand to be the best we can be. That's our job, our right, as an emotional right. We're not going to probably have time to be able to go into the emotional intelligence today. But we can do that.
A lot of this is emotional intelligence.
They're all tied in together.
They're intertwined. And when you start to compare all three, they are all one in the same to some degree, because you cannot have sovereignty without self-esteem and emotional intelligence.
Right. And what's nice about what we're doing by breaking this down, it's like anytime I would do a financial plan for somebody, I would break the whole plan down. I would look at what their income needs are. I would look at what their asset base is. I would look at their risk tolerance. I would look at their age.
Yeah.
I would look at what the goals were. And then you pull it all apart. You look at each component. So almost like dismantling a motor of a car, and you look at each of the components, make sure they're all working properly. And then you put it back together and say, here's your plan. So you're totally right with these 3 pillars, that these are what we need, and they're all interchangeable, but we have to pull them apart to understand and distinguish between the nuances of each of them.
Yeah.
So we can put them back together. So a car, okay, you're going to know how old I am when I say this. You have a carburetor, you have a battery, right? You have oil.
I'm not
whatever it is
either.
But you got to know what all of these components are and what they do and how they work together to put it together so it works well for us.
Yes.
Right. So these are all definitely important aspects, but it's okay to understand that we haven't been taught the significance of each of these things. What are you getting?
I got itchy right here on my third eye.
That's a little higher than your third eye though, right?
It was right here. Right there is where I felt like this little,
Is it all good?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
because sometimes, people can feel things, and I can feel people, they'll go like this, and I know they've got an implant in the back of their occipital bone, right? Or something like that. So, and I was talking to Karen the other night, I don't know what night it was, Monday night, I had my phone, I was watching something, and then all of a sudden my hip started twinging, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I went to sleep. And then next thing you know, in my dream, I'm down in the kitchen and my phone's on the counter and it's sending me demonic energy. So we got to understand the electronics can work on us even at night. And I sent it right back to it. Doesn't matter. And I got up. It didn't land on me, but I got up and I'm like, they're trying so hard to stop us in every way possible. So they're trying to stop us and scare us and keep us down. They're going to throw the book at us. And the example is, I'm going for a walk yesterday, and I'm driving to the park I like to go to, and I get a phone call, and it's a rote, like it's just a recorded message saying it's Visa calling or whatever the credit card company was, and that I've had 2 bills on my thing that looks suspicious. Call and press the button for whatever, and nobody ever came on. Credit card companies, if they think something's happened, they're not going to send a recording. They're going to have a live person call you. Yep. And they realize they're trying to scare us. Now they're coming after our money. Do you know what I mean? So
now they're coming after money, coming after everything. They're coming after
everything, right? So when we understand that, but when you have cleared a lot of stuff, you can see these things happen, and you still stay in your energy bubble. This is part of the intelligence, emotional intelligence. This is what I wrote about it: is the ability to feel no sense through your emotions without losing a sense of yourself. So I'm watching this, I'm picking up this message, and I knew they were playing me.
Yeah.
So this is why emotional intelligence is so important, because you feel and you know and you sense. Those are your higher emotional intelligences. We need those emotional intelligences to get to the higher sensory perceptions. So when you know who you are, you know how to esteem yourself, you know how to clear your energy, you know how to stay in your center when things happen. People can't manipulate and push, and that's what's going to help topple the old system when we don't buy it anymore, right?
And it doesn't have to be 50% of us. It doesn't, it's actually a very small percentage. I think
that's a pipe dream for 50% of the people to get their shit together in a short period of time. You're going to need a cataclysmic event that will scare everybody to get them to wake up.
Well, I think that's supposedly that's what's going to happen. And I can see that, actually. I can see that something will probably give, but you're still going to see a good number of people who will refuse. All these la people most of them will continue to go la. No, I don't believe this. I believe what I believed before, because that makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
Instead
People confuse normal and familiar, because something's familiar to someone doesn't mean it's normal. And the example you used with going in and talking to the nurses, and they said, I've been doing this for 20 years. Because it's familiar doesn't mean it's normal or right. It's all just programming.
It is. And I used to laugh at it. I used to laugh at it. I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Well, here, let me give you an education on what's really supposed to be happening. And I can pull out all the regulations, because it's a highly regulated industry. And it's like, oh, yeah.
I know. So this is where the changes, they are going to come. But when we understand how this game is played, we strengthen ourselves as well. And we strengthen the people around us, because then they can see how we do it. And we're not doing it just because you and I have nothing better to do. We're doing it to show other people you can do this too.
No, absolutely. Everybody can do this. Everybody
everybody who wants to.
I want everybody to want to and strive for it, because it's, you know what, it's hard and it's not hard.
So we were talking earlier, you said spiritual growth is not easy. And there was a meme somebody had created on Facebook, and it says what they think spiritual growth is, and going through the dark night of the soul. So you go through it personally, we go through it personally, and now the collective is going through it, and it's painful. But it says, spiritual growth, and it showed something like the sun and the tarot deck, the sun or the star, and they said what it really is, and it showed the Tower of Babel, where there's 2 people falling off and fire and lightning strikes, and it's hell sometimes. But that's where you grow as well, when you go through and realize, oh my gosh, this wasn't what I thought it was. And it's just if you desire to be honest with yourself and you start to see what it is, the old has to fall away, as you had said, before the new can come in and replace it.
Yeah, and that's, I think,
it's going to be hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, but it was painful for us too. But it doesn't have to be as painful as people like Betty and I, who learned through baptism by fire, because there's things I learned that was just brutal.
Yeah.
So people can still learn.
Honest. It's so key to be able to look inside and be honest with yourself. because, and I actually said this the other day on that 30-minute video I did on my own about sovereignty. And because I've been with people like this that don't want to look within there, like afraid to go to, you know, a therapist or whatever, because this was years and years ago, and because they were afraid of what they would find out about themselves. And so it's like, no, don't, because there's something ugly in me. But that's an implant.
Yes.
It's an implant. It isn't you. It's actually what somebody has put there or programmed you to believe so that you can't move forward.
And those are the negative ego blocks that you start to talk to yourself in such a way that you are not your best friend anymore. You're actually working against yourself because of other people's insecurities and need to put you down. Yeah.
And then you absorb those insecurities. And now it's like, well, I think maybe deep down I'm a really bad person.
Right.
Why?
And maybe you've done things you shouldn't have done, but break them down, distinguish what was the behaviors that you did that were wrong, apologize when necessary, write a letter if it's somebody you hurt, and if it's going to hurt them, don't send it, but write out the apology, put the intention out there that you realize you were wrong and made a mistake. It's only good providing you don't make those same mistakes again. People who realize, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and then turn around and do the exact same thing over again. Don't give me that crap. You haven't learned a thing. You're just using it to justify, oh, it's so hard to change my behavior. Own your shit.
It's like being Catholic and going to confession. It's like, well, I could just go once a week and do the same crap, and just every week I get a clean bill of health, completely clear and free because the priest said so. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Clean bill of consciousness. And it's like, no.
The divine knows your heart, and that's the key. No man can actually forgive you, judge you, or anything.
No person
can. It's about you, your connection to the divine. And if we've all made mistakes. I think that there's every single person has something that they wish they
you could not have made mistakes when the world is so screwed up and intentionally designed to screw up people on one way or another. Even if you didn't make any mistakes morally, maybe you ate the wrong food, or poisoned your body, or didn't drink proper water and poisoned your body. Like, there's always something we've done.
And it's about realizing why you did that, and forgiving yourself, and going, what am I going to do to make sure I don't do that again? Because you can change. You are not that person forever, and that's not. We were not created to be stagnant.
No, and that's a great comment to share with people.
We were created.
No, and that's what they want everybody to be slow.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I noticed? Something. I'm going to give an example about how fucked up this world is intentionally. So I had a friend who was having some roadside construction done outside of where she lives. Mm-hmm. And then they go and they put all the new pipes underneath, like the water systems. They replace it supposedly, which I'm sure now they can shut it off at will right across the board. But then they paved over it again, and they put the pothole. They made it just a little different. So every time a car drives over the potholes, and the potholes are most of the time right where the tires go. So just to throw us off enough, and then it takes more wear and tear in your car, so you need another car sooner. Like, this is how fucked this whole system is, that they knew all of this, and they do it all intentionally to slow us down, to make us stagnant, to make us go out of our way to have to get something fixed, and just keep us down.
Yeah.
We need hovercraft. We need spaceships, damn it.
I heard somebody say that there are hovercrafts getting made in Florida right now, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Bring it on. When is this new Earth coming? Like, enough. And I know enough. I've had enough. I've had enough of it. And I think more of us need to just say, I've had enough. And one of the things, actually, because I think, are we done with EQ, IQ?
We didn't really go into the EQ, and that's okay because it's already over an hour. It's okay. We can do another one. But
one of the things that came to me today, I've read the Gnostic texts and the Nag Hammadi and that book of John. That one is like, it keeps giving. It's like one of these wonderful books that just keeps giving to you. And I had this revelation because I was thinking about this mask mandate or bylaw now. It's going to be an actual bylaw, and they're going to pass it. And I was like,
what city?
It's in Mississauga.
Okay.
So I'm like,
who's Mississauga? Who's the mayor of Mississauga? It's not Bonnie Crombie, is it?
Yeah, it
is. They say she's as dirty as can be. The people don't like her. How did she get to be mayor? Same as Patrick Brown. He's the mayor in Brampton. So Patrick Brown ran, he was the head of the Ontario Conservative Party. He gets accused of some sex scandal with a teenage girl, which I personally think he's gay. Now he's got a wife and a kid, which I think are just photo ops. And now he ran like a month before the election, he throws his hat in the ring and wins. Give me a fucking break. And this guy now is the only guy that's allowed to go to hockey rinks with his buddy and play hockey in the wintertime while everybody's shut down. Like, at what point do people have so little self-respect that they put up with this shit from these people?
Yeah,
and
wow. Here's the deal. Like, if you look at, I'm just going to try to make this as quick as possible. So, and if you need more information, I did an interview a few months ago with Mark Atwood where I actually kind of broke this down and did it with the Tower of Babel, because Babylon was not, I don't believe, was always like this evil place. But anyway, I broke that down in that video too. Okay. But we've got two realms, right? So we've got the divine realm and we've got the evil realm. And so the evil realm was created by one of the entities in the good realm, creating without her consort. So basically it was this crazy monkey thought, and it ended up being like an aborted fetus. And she realized what she made was horrendous and tried to hide it. Anyways, this entity, which stole her power, so her breath, he convinced her to give it to him. So now he had power. He had power, built his realm to mirror the good realm, right? The divine realm. And they saw the first human, like the first human came to them, right, from the good realm, and they saw it and they tried to create one. So all of the little minions there, because they created all kinds of demons and angels and all kinds of stuff there. And it talks about what they all look like too. And it goes through detail how they built it. But then they built this body, but it didn't have any life. It was just lying there. And so one of the, I believe it was one of the angels from the divine, to help Sophia, who was the one who created him by accident, to get her power back, actually convinced him that he needs to breathe into this body that he made to bring it to life. And he wasn't very intelligent, really, kind of like what we're dealing with today on most people. He did it. When he did it, he realized he gave away all of Sophia's power, which came from the divine realm. And that came into us as humans. And ever since then, they've been trying to take it away from us. And now, what's the first thing happens when a baby is born? Breath, right?
You know, the breath is the way to the stronger spiritual house. Because you can breathe in.
Have you ever seen somebody die?
No.
Last breath. And I haven't seen personally somebody die naturally. Anyway, we took my grandmother off life support and sat with her till she did pass, but that was very different because she was intubated and everything. But my neighbor's husband died, and she remembers in their hotel room on vacation. And she said he came back from the gym, and she just heard, she was getting ready to go in the shower, and she just heard him pop in the chair and go, oh. And she thought he was just like tired. He was dead. It was that last breath. It's your spirit leaving you. And so what are they doing with our masks? So if our breath is what was given to us from the divine, right? That is what we have.
It's a spiritual war. Oh, Betty, this is brilliant.
And they're trying to take away our breath.
This is brilliant, Betty, what you're saying right now, how you're piecing this together.
The symbology of our breath and what it means. This is our life. It's our life force. They're trying to take away our life force. And, you know, for those who are watching, that is what they're doing. It has nothing to do with a virus. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's about taking away your life force.
This is probably one of the most significant things that you're saying today, from my perspective. I know we've given a lot of great help out here, but what you're saying, making this realization about what this mask is.
Yeah, it's about your life force.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I have no respect for anybody in the system. I have no respect for the politicians. I have no respect for anybody who is as corrupt as can be. I was listening to a man talk. He wrote a book, and he asked me to not proofread, just wanted my opinion, and if I would write something like a testimonial about it. And he said he went to medical school. It was in Northern California. And what they did was the dean of the medical department took certain students to his home, had dinner with them, and then told them, all of this is bullshit, but if you want to get promoted, we'll make sure you get promoted into high places, but you can't tell the truth. This is how evil this fucked up system is. These little fuckers know. The smarter they are, the higher they are in government positions or institutions, chances are the more corrupt they are, the more morally bankrupt the little fuckers are.
Yeah.
And when we start calling this out, it's like slapping evil right in the face and saying, go yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, all these people, and I don't care what religion you are, but so many of them, it's like, you got to love everybody. If somebody smacks you, you got to, you know, turn the other
cheek.
No. Yeah. You know what? For small things, sure, fine. But when we're looking evil in the face, you do not turn the other cheek.
No.
You stab it in the heart. And that is actually biblical. Sorry, it is biblical. It says over and over and over to hate evil, to fight evil. Evil is evil. And I don't care what the New Agers say, that there is no such thing as evil except what I create. I didn't create this shit. They did.
No, I agree with you 100%. And this is where people take their power back and stand in their sovereignty too, because, oh, we're all the same. So if I've got what's the saying? I've got a shadow side. You've got a shadow side. So the word shadow side has two connotations to it. One, it means you were hurt. And two, it means you're a son of a bitch and you got a dark spirit and a dark heart. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, well, it means two things again. So when people talk about the shadow, well, you've got a shadow. Well, that means maybe you were hurt, but it doesn't mean you're hurting other people. Yeah. So you're right about so many of these, right, things.
Yeah, it's when you start to look at these texts and you start to piece it together, because it's not all in one place, but when you start to like figure it out and you piece it all together, it makes sense.
Totally.
I had Tiffany coming out of the shower, and I had an amazing shower with my little thing, and it was just like all this stuff. It was like downloading.
Her little thing is protection, by the way. It's not an entity on her back.
Oh yeah, this is the water, and it's an incredible process. I mentioned it in the last video. Go check it out with Joanne, and you can do it your own way. I do it my own way. Sandy checked it out, and she's let me know that she was right on with that clearing. So Jay Ross, that's actually a good one to watch. Is the Dragon Woman with Mark Atwood, and it's close to the end of it. If you want to get to, I don't remember exactly where it was, but she breaks it up into just how to clear the negative energies out. And I love it in the shower, because shower makes you feel like you're getting clean.
Yes.
It's a wonderful metaphor as well to the cleansing of your body, spirit.
Letting all your troubles wash away. And water represents the tears and the feminine energy. So you can just let all your troubles wash away from you and envision them going into the drain if you want to, and being purified through the water system, right? Yeah. And so what were you going to say about your epiphany?
That was one of my epiphanies coming out, and it was like, I know that's not what we're talking about today, but I was like, I felt like it was something I had to say today about them trying to take away our life force. That's really all it's about.
Yeah. Well, they want it. And sex energy is also life force energy, because it take one sperm and one egg, and you can create a beautiful human being full of genuine organic consciousness with so many abilities. And like you said, right from the very beginning, they work on destroying us and keeping us under control so that we can be their minions. And it's like, no, thank you. Right.
Yes, well, it was very sad to see that in that text, Twitter. I was shocked to see how many people were like, oh, it's about time. It should have been done a long time ago. Yes.
So let them mask up. I'm not worried about them, but let them mask up. We have to decide for ourselves what we stand for, right? But so can we, I'm assuming we're going to finish up here soon. So can I want to talk about my book. My book is not a lot about, it's the first layer of the onion, because you've got to start somewhere. So if you're trying to get a sense of who you are, it goes into purpose. Then I go into understanding your values and how to know if your values are genuine or someone else's. I look at boundaries. I clear out a lot of emotion. I look at the emotional suffering from a different perspective than a therapist would. I go into what makes relationships great, because we have to start getting back to the beauty of organic. I also go into the dance between masculine and feminine energy, because we want people to start getting along again, and men and women working together instead of fighting. And the last chapter is about feminine energy, being your best woman self. So this is available online on my website, endinggloballoneliness.com. I think it's $10 Canadian, so it's not much. But it'll give you a sense of how to go into yourself and ask questions. So I don't tell anybody what to do. If you want to go in and start learning how to become more consciously aware, you have to go in. But don't do a nosedive. It's too hard. Go in and just orient your energy, if that's okay with the way to say it. Just orient yourself with yourself and go, oh yeah, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm trying to do. This is how I be my best self. I also offer 30-minute complimentary clearing session or a coaching call if you have any questions. That's also on my website. Feel free to go and sign up for that and see if what I do is a sense for what you want to do. But you're going to share where people can find you as well, because we both do similar stuff. So
yes, we do. And it's in my YouTube, in my about. I have a link to my my website, which goes through what I do and all of that stuff. And yeah, and email me. And if you're watching, it's a great way to stay in touch in case, I lose my channel.
Somebody gets taken down. Yeah, I know.
But I mean, we didn't talk about anything really that would take, I think for this video anyway, that would get us taken down. But who knows? They don't want us to be elevated.
They don't want us organized. So you don't know what's gonna trigger them, right?
No.
So Russia, my understanding, Russia has given Twitter the word that if they don't take down the child pornography, that they're kicking them out of Russia. Anybody want to know what balls look like? That's what a man who cares enough about children looks like. If you continue this behavior, you're out. That is a very masculine, protective statement to tell Twitter, we don't give a shit, you're out. This is not acceptable. There's an example of what you're saying, Betty, but we're not all the same. We've got the same genetic material, blood flows through us all, and there's so much that is similar, but it depends on whether you're a decent person or a SOB. So I'm quite pleased Putin said that.
Putin is, I found out, oh gosh, I don't know how many years, maybe 7-8 years ago, that man has actually been a hero.
He's a good man. Yeah.
He is not the evil that they.
Anytime they try to make anybody look like they're evil, and it's like gang stalking, and everybody's against them. Usually they're the good guys, and you're all being gaslit to believe something about somebody. This is what many people are going through right now. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I'm going to give an example of everyday people doing this. So her aunt called her and told her, "Oh, I'm going to go spend 2 days with your sister, be in the house with her, but because of COVID, I'm just going to drop this off at your house." So basically shaming her to make her feel that she's less than because she doesn't buy into the nonsense. So this is her family, a sister and an aunt ganging up on her. So all the family's kind of trying to shun her. So then this is where you start believing that you're the problem, because they're all fucked up. Doesn't mean you're the problem. It just might mean they're all fucked up. So everybody's going after Putin. Anybody wants you to hate somebody that bad or dislike them, chances are you're being gaslit and he's being targeted.
Oh yeah. And
I know how the game is played.
If I'm the problem for the bad guys, then I'm a good problem.
Yeah. You're not a problem for the bad guys. You're truth.
I'm truth, but truth is a problem for the bad guys.
I know what you're saying, and I'm trying to be impeccable with my words and the way I'm saying things right now and really look at the positive of what's happening around us.
Yeah. And because I want to see more people like me pop up. I want people to start to use their voice, and especially women, because I find women, this is usually blocked.
That's why they have so many thyroid issues, in my opinion, because they are afraid to use their voice, they're afraid to speak up. And it's not about, if whoever speaks up, it's not just about women. And I agree with you. I want to see more women speak up too, because we're going to lead a certain aspect of this, but we also need the men. If you're ready and it's your time, commit yourself to learning to be the best you can be and knowing how to command your energy and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
yes.
Absolutely. Because it is fun when you start to embody all of those things that we talked about with sovereignty and esteem and your EQ. It's empowering and you feel amazing. Yes. Yeah, you have to maybe go through a little bit of crap to get here, but it was so worth it because I've never felt that good in my life.
You know, I've said this in the past. I don't know if I knew what I was going to go through for the last 5-7 years, I don't know if I would have done this. But I wouldn't change a thing now that I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was not easy. If I'd known the road, what the road was going to look like, I'd be like, I can be shallow. Right? But I can't. I know I can't. You know I can't. But now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, so there's so many things that are unknown. There's so many things that are up in the air. There's so many things that could be scary. But then if we knew everything that was going to happen, wouldn't we be bored in our lives?
Yes.
We'd be bored out of our minds if we knew what everything was going to look like. So embrace the changes that are coming, embrace the challenges that are ahead of us in a way that we know we're going to win, because we are going to be victorious in our sovereignty, because this is our birthright.
100%.
Yes.
100%. Thanks, Sandy. Do you have anything you want to say before we head?
You know, I think that's good to finish up with that. We just did and brought it back to sovereignty, and thank you. This is a great topic. Maybe we'll do another one on emotional intelligence, because we need to break that one down a little more, because more people have it in them than they think. And if we can put little nuggets out there, then they go, oh yeah, I do that, I knew that. And we're helping people remember. It's not that you and I are inventing anything new. This is already there. It's just been hidden from us. So we're helping remember. Know you've got it in you, right? We all do.
Well, isn't that, I mean, how many people say remember who you are?
Yes.
Remember,
so that's all we're helping everybody do, is remember how beautiful you are, how entitled you are to good things in your life, how absolutely divinely divined we are, how our heart works, how our, you know, the breath is so funny, with the spiritualness of our being able to breathe. That's why they're taxing our air, you know, with the chemtrails. But all this is good stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Until next time.
Thank you for this wonderful conversation. J. Roz, thank you for being here and asking questions. I appreciate it. And until next time, I'll put out a memo again. That
yes, always remember your light. Yes. You bet. Always. Yes. Thank you.
All of us.
You can already feel her light too.
I know. It makes me smile, actually.
Yes. Look at us all. She's smiling. We're all smiling. Anybody watching is smiling.
It feels good when you actually just say, okay, and we let it go and reclaim it, because we've been told you're not supposed to be great. You're not supposed to say you're great. You're not supposed to be more than what, the box we put you in.
Right. I hear you.
I got a 1-finger salute for that one.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Funny.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I want to thank you. We'll set up something else for next week, and I'll put out a little quickie video to let people know we're going to go live, because I do like the comments, and I know we've had more people this time. We're up to 10, which is.
Do you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be what it's going to be, and it's okay, because if it's helpful for people, they're going to jump in. If it's not, they won't. Or if their schedule doesn't allow, they can watch it later.
Yep.
It's all good. So good.
And like and subscribe and share if you think this would help somebody that you care about or is close to you.
Yes. And I also put this on my YouTube channel, Sandy Glaze. I don't use my Ending Global Loneliness name. I just use my name. But
that's what I put into the link for you.
Oh, do you? Okay, excellent.
I always put your
my contact excellent.
Info. I think endinggloballoneliness.com, and I put your YouTube. So all of your stuff is always under mine, so people can find you.
Excellent. Thank you. You're a sweetheart. You know that. Okay, let's go.
All right. Love you, everyone. And thank you so much. Thank you, Sandy. And we'll set up another one for next week.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Hold on. End broadcast.